To this story now, activists and experts are calling for the strengthening of police intelligence and improved cooperation with international law enforcement agencies as child pornography cases rise. Now, this follows the arrest of a 35-year-old man after police reportedly found 10 million images of child pornography in his house in Midrand in Gauteng over the weekend. Joining us to discuss this is Luke Lamprecht. He's head of Advocacy Women and Men against child abuse. Good evening, Luke. Thank you very much for joining us on the program. You know, if it hadn't become evident before, it is now that child pornography cases and associated perversions are on the increase. Your take on this?
There's no doubt, as smartphones and access to Wi-Fi and access to devices that have the ability to record at very high resolution and easily store and distribute things in the cloud, the ability to produce, possess and distribute child pornography is increasing dramatically.
Now, there's a call in some quarters for the strengthening of police intelligence as well as improved cooperation with international law enforcement agencies. Firstly, what would a strengthening of police intelligence look like? Would they need to be recruiting more highly skilled individuals from the private sector? What would it look like if it perhaps was to be a viable option?
So the first thing is you would need the correct technology. So as you can see, most of these cases come to us via the FBI, where they are very heavily tech resourced. So number one, you need the technical resources to manage these cases. Then you need individuals with the ability to actually investigate these cases. So you need a second level with the technology. You need people who are trained to investigate the cases. And then obviously the prosecuting and the judging, so in other words, the convictions need to also be clearly understood. Because the misunderstanding here is that these are so-called non-contact victimless crimes. Every single image that people call child pornography is actually the image of the sexual abuse of a child, and it's actually a crime scene. So the ability to investigate it is from the technology to the investigator, to the prosecutor, to the judge understanding. And what we have to understand is these are very traumatic things to look at for people who are investigating. So they need support as well.
So it means the overhauling or strengthening of the whole criminal justice system value chain, which is clearly a big undertaking.
It absolutely is the whole value chain, because remember, in order to keep up, these guys who are running these rings, and I mean this guy in particular who's also involved in foreign currency and drugs, and sounds like he's there's other gang sort of type connections to what he does. These guys are keeping ahead of the technology because it's their business. Now, the state has to be able to, literally fight that with similar technology. So we most certainly need to overhaul the system that allows for the investigation of these cases to begin with. And that begins with matching the technology that these guys are using, which at the moment the state is struggling to do.
And this is purely to a certain extent due to the fiscus, because we don't have the funds for all of this and to even recruit or get the kind of most recent technology. But there's also another call then, which speaks to our role as society, sensitizing parents and children as well as teachers through campaigns. Would this yield any result in any way?
Well, I think there's two sides to this coin. Number one is that the people who are making these images are largely people in whose care the children are. So it's things that are happening like prior to the wholesale sort of access to Wi-Fi and the internet and smartphones. Most abuse is happening by people who are supposed to be caring for children and in whose care the children are. So now what's happening is they're recording it and distributing it. So campaigns around, sensitizing parents, most of the people who are doing these things are the caregivers of the children. So that's the one side. On the other side, when you talk about campaigns where young people don't fall prey to things like sextortion, which is massively on the rise, where children are generating images of themselves that they are sending to people who are pretending to be 13-year-old girls and then getting sextorted, there certainly, I think, campaigns are helpful. So I think it needs a dual approach, where we are saying don't place yourself at risk online, don't place your children at risk online, and particularly in the world of AI and deep fake. I mean, recently there was a Disney star who was turned into child pornography via AI. I mean, she's an adult now, but I mean, she's absolutely devastated because they used the online voices and images of her when she was a child.
No, it's honestly very concerning what even technology now has become and how vulnerable we are to even this technology that was meant to be used for greater good. But look, thank you very much for your time this evening.
Thank you.
That's Luke Lamprecht. He's head of Advocacy Women and Men Against Child Abuse.